test first works.
Very good. Yeah, it's a good challenge to learn test first or to go deeper in test-driven development. So, welcome to our Christmas special from Advent of Code. My guest today is Tobias. Maybe you know him from our Log4j videos. And Tobias uses every year to learn a new language. Hello, Tobias.
Hello, Thomas.
Which language do you learn this year?
This year, I try to solve the Advent of Code challenges in Go.
Go?
In Go.
And
so yes, since I'm not the guy who is awake at 6 o'clock in the morning when the riddles go online, the speed run isn't the thing for me. So I'm not going to solve it as quick as possible. But the challenge for me is to learn new languages every year or kind of a framework or some other stuff. So I always pose myself a challenge and then try to improve with every day's challenge of Advent of Code. So just to have a goal to solve and yeah.
Very cool goal. Which languages have you learned in the past?
Last year I tried to solve everything in Swift. That's don't know if you know Swift. That's the language introduced by Apple for iOS and macOS coding. And there is a tool on the iPad called Swift Playgrounds. That's basically for learn coding. It's like of a sandbox environment on the iPad where you can have some coding challenges. And I tried to completely solve these riddles on an iPad, just isolated on an iPad without anything else. So that was my challenge for last year. And I have to remember, so when I started, always some Java stuff and try to familiarize with this new stuff. So to focus on, let's say, when closures were new, to use closures wherever I can and build up. So part of my challenge is to get better from day to day and build up some tool chest. Because when you see these riddles, there are some recurring tasks every day, and you get faster and faster over the days when you make some of the stuff from the earlier days reusable, and that's always something I try to do.
What is your main language? Where do you come from?
Where do I come from, or what's the main language? So on the daily basis, so the main language we are working on is Java. So that's the language I've done the most. Earlier days, I used to do commercial coding in Smalltalk. Don't know if somebody remembers that, but that's really old stuff right now. So Java is the main language. I know some Objective-C from macOS and iOS coding from earlier days.
Okay.
Swift is coming more and more important.
Then let's come to the riddles. What can you tell us about your experience and about your riddles? I try. So when I start with Go, or I can show you something about the riddles. So it's very cool that you can very easily write some tests in Go. So I always try to start it test driven. So my first step every day is, since I'm not doing it for speed purposes. So as I see my colleagues, when it's going to be fast, you don't have time to do some tests. But I always import the test data from every day. So basically, when the challenge is described, there is some test data and some results, and that's the first thing. So day 1 isn't that good. Let's have a look at day 5. That's the input. I think that was with the crates, the stack of crates exactly. So
there we have the inputs from the example, and the first result for the first part. The result should be ZMZ, and for the second part it was MCD, where the crane could handle multiple crates at once. And so I always start with the test data, and can run. So there is a fairly good integration for Go with Visual Studio Code. So I'm using Visual Studio Code with the recommended plugins. And as you can see, the test case is recognized by the editor. You can just click the debug test in this case. Software started running. You can see my debug output. So that's a stack of crates with the movement commands. And here is the result, and my test passes. So for now, on every day, I managed when the test passed, and I filled in the actual data for my input from the page. It was always the first try that went through. So test first works.
Very good. Yeah, it's a good challenge to learn test first, or to go deeper in test-driven development. Very cool.
Exactly.
Very cool.
So that's always so. If you look, I don't know if you've already had a chance to look into today's riddle. So the input for day 8 that's the preparation for tomorrow. So here is the test input from the description of today's riddle. So the change directory commands and the list outputs and so on. Yeah. And here again, I have my test structure with that's the outcome that is in the description. And again, as you can see.
Okay.
Test run.
And your solution is in this case it's only a for loop, or I'm not very familiar with Go. I cannot read this.
The test.
No, not the test. Not the test. The logic.
The solution. Okay, let's have a look at the solution. So what you can see, that's quite cool with the integration. As I just ran the test, you can already see the test coverage in the editor of the file. So there is, so you can see everything that's green. You can mouse over and see there's one execution on the stuff, and you can see there are some red parts when I scroll down through my code. So that's just as a side note, you see some red parts, but with the first glimpse, you can very easily see that some error handling, where I did some error handling that wasn't addressed with the test data. So the test data from the riddle is only the positive case. So my negative tests, the negative branches in test weren't it, but everything else is quite green and works just as a side note. So let's have a look.
I'm very excited about line 94, because 94 was your error code, and it's not there's no coverage. So this is very good. Cool.
Because that's one of the steps. So there isn't a command. So that is used. You have the CD commands in the input, and that's hit when there is a CD to a directory that wasn't formally listed. So that's basically it. It doesn't appear in the test data, and I don't think in the real data. So just it was there for there should be an else if there is an if, and so I have to handle some errors. So
cool.
Okay, to the solution, it's quite straightforward. I declared, as you can see, or should we talk a little bit about the riddle, or can we take that as granted?
It depends on you. What do you think?
Okay, the riddle, today's riddle, if we look at the data input. It's a little bit like a command line inputs to a Linux shell or DOS shell or whatsoever. So there are the commands. The lines start with a $sign, and there is a command. There are only two types of commands: a CD with a path appendant and an ls to list the directory content. These are the two commands. And then there is, if you do the ls, the next lines are output up to the next line with a $sign that starts the new command. So the output has two types of entries. There's a dir. That's kind of a subdirectory. So if you list your directory, in this case, we have a subdirectory A and a file. And a file is displayed with the size of the file first and then the name of the file. That's it. And basically in the riddle, you have to build up the structure from the output.
Yes.
From this command line output. So that's the inputs to your riddle. And you have to parse that, basically build up the directory structure and then do some examinations of the directory structure and find some directories you can delete to free up space for the system update that has to be done on the else communication device in the riddle.
How does Go help you for this? So
Go, I would say it's really easy to learn.
Okay.
It has quite powerful string handling capabilities. So parting of the incoming lines, it's basically you can split the line in different parts or peek ahead. So you can, as you can do with basically every programming language, you split the command line by occurrence of spaces, or can see what is the first or the second character. So
at the 6 days, yesterday, there was an interesting riddle, in my opinion, for string operations. Can we take a look at this riddle?
Absolutely. That was really easy and very quick solvable in Go. As you can see. We have our test data there, and there are the results from the examples yesterday. And in that case, you had to, over the incoming line, you had to move in the first part of the riddle. You had to move like a window of 4 characters and check if there are any recurring or duplicate characters in that 4-character window. And in that case, you can use a feature of Go called slicing.
Slicing, yeah.
Where you can have it's like a sub-array of an array, and that works for strings. So very easily, as you can see here, I have a loop running from index 0 to the length of the incoming line -4. So that's the size of my window. And then in this case, this is a slice. So I use my possible marker in that case is a slice of the incoming area. And that is handed to the function check marker. And in that case, the function check marker just sees a string. So it doesn't see a difference. So it's just a substring or something. So you move your window, your marker window across the incoming line, have it checked. In that case, I simply use the set where I throw in the incoming characters and check if it's already in there or.
Okay.
And that was it basically. So in that case, that was fairly fast. I think I solved it in about 5 or 6 minutes. Very
pretty. And 5 or 6 minutes, and you are new in this language, so very
on
cool
day
stuff.
6.
Yeah.
So, but today's riddle was a little bit harder. But then again, for today's riddle, the parser for the incoming line was more complicated than simple moving a window. across a string.
Is there another riddle which is interesting for us to show?
We had a look at the crates. So perhaps I talked a little bit about improvement and the tool chest. As you can recognize, I have some utility classes already. So I implemented the stack of crates.
Yeah.
As some functions that use an array of any object and handle it like a stack, so you can push and pop and insert something at the beginning of the stack or insert from the bottom to implement that riddle. So these are the remainings from earlier days. So if there is something coming up with stacks, I think I will be a little bit faster than during the first try.
Little bit strange for me as a Java developer. The method name starts with a capital character and not with a small character. So pop.
Yeah, that's the principle of convention over declaration.
Yeah.
That's simply speaking, everything that's exported from a package in Go has to be an uppercase letter.
Okay.
So every function in this case, or as you can see, these are functions. So Go isn't an object-oriented language. It's purely stack-based, so it doesn't have objects, no inheritance or something. Mm-hmm. But you basically you work on arrays or structs or array of structs or data structures in that case. But you can define functions, and that is this notation where in front of the function name you have it looks a little like a parameter list, and that's the struct or the type where the method is sent to, and then. So in this case, I have a stack that's simply an array of something, and the pop function handles something on that array and handles it like a stack. So it's basically it is a method, but in that case a function that has some implicitly.
For you, what was the hardest thing to learn or to think in a different way? You say you came from Java or from Objective C or Smalltalk. What was the hardest thing to change your mind?
Hard. It's hard. Difficult. You have to think a little bit differently because you don't have inheritance. And for today's riddles, the first thing, as you can perhaps don't know if I showed it. When I thought about the data structure, first thing I thought about was like an interface. So I have in my in the directory structure, there are directories containing other files and directories and files that are having a size. What they both have in common is the size, but it's calculated in a completely different way. So I didn't start with the class, but with the interface. So I looked for the method that will be in common, and that was the first thing I started with. That's a little bit another way of thinking, but it's not really hard. But that's the idea of why I'm doing it, so to get a little bit more familiar with other approaches and see if you look for the right tool for some tasks to get a feeling for which tasks Go might be a suitable language. So hear a lot about it for web services or command line tools for doing some automation or automation, mainly automation. Yeah. There is a lot of fuss about it.
For this year, Advent of Code in 22, what was the hardest riddle for you? Now we are on day 7, so there are only 7 riddles. But
I always hard. So the algorithms weren't this hard this year from my perspective. So there's from the last years there were some algorithms. I think we are expecting in the next days more to come, where you have to think about the complexity of the execution time, where you have very carefully and think about that the execution time isn't like some exponential growth or something, and that's where in the last years there were always some traps where you build a quick solution with the test data. And that worked with 5 or 3 lines of input, and if there was a few hundred, it did not work any longer. And but we had not yet any kind of that riddle. So from my perspective, the 2 riddles with the complex input lines, so the crate movement with the crane, and today's directory structure. Was a little bit, from my perspective, frustrating because it's a lot of typing to build the parser and get the input straight. But until now, there were no complicated things in the algorithms. But I expect some more to come during the next days. Let's see.
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah. I'm the guy who has time. I'm working the late shift, so I have no chance to get any quick ratings or something. So my goals are different. So yeah, have fun with the algorithm and think about it. Not the speed run.
Not the speed run. Yeah, every morning at 6 o'clock is very hard. 6 o'clock. Is there some other points we have to talk about, or you want to show us? It looks very interesting.
Not really. If you don't have any more questions.
No. It was interesting for me to see the solutions in another language, and the motivation to use another language is very cool. Then, is there nothing else? I would say thank you very much, Tobias.
You're welcome, and
you too.
Perhaps we can have another chat in the next days when there happens something complicated, or if there are some outstanding algorithms or something. Perhaps we can have another chat. But the other guys are always way in front of me with their solutions, so perhaps re-talking it just to talk about it in Go might be boring. Let's see how it goes.
Yep. Okay, then.
Okay, Thomas,
see you. Bye-bye.